Book 6. Hector returns to Troy. So the clash of Achaean and Trojan troops was on its own, the battle and all its fury veering back and forth, careening down the plain as they sent their bronze lances hurtling side to side between the seamost banks and Xanthus swirling rapids. That Achaean bulwark giant Ajax came up first, broke the Trojan line, and brought his men some hope, spearing the bravest man in Thracians fielded. Acamas, tall and staunch, Eucerus' son, the first to hurl. Great Ajax hit the ridge of the helmet's horse or chest, the bronze point stuck in Acamas' forehead, pounding down the skull, and the dark came swirling down to shroud his eyes. A shattering war cry. Diomedes killed of Axylus, Teuthras' son, who had lived in rock Baldarus Bay, a man of means and a friend to all mankind. And at his roadside house he'd warm all comers in. But who of his guests would greet his enemy now, meet him face to face, and ward off grisly death? Diomedes killed the man and his aide in arms at once, Axylus and Calasius, who always drove his team. Both at a stroke he drove beneath the earth. Euryalus killed, Drasus killed, Opheltius turned and went for Pedasus, and Aesopus, twins, the nymph of the spring, Arborea, bore Bucalion's son himself, to the lofty king Laedamon, first of the line, through his mother, bore the prince in secrecy and shadow. Tending his flocks one day, Bucleon took the nymph in a strong surge of love, and beneath his force she bore him twin sons. But now the son of Mesistius hacked the force from beneath them both, and loosed their gleaming limbs, and tore the armor off the dead man's shoulders. Polypoetes, braced for battle, killed Astyalus. Winging his bronze spear, Odysseus slew Pedates, bred in Percote, and Teucer did the same for the royal Aetion. Ablarus went down too, under the flashing lance of Nestor's son Antilochus, and Elytus under the lord of men, Agamemnon's strength. Elytus lived by the banks of rippling Santorius. In Pedasus, perched on cliffs, the hero laid his rain down Ficalus down to ground at a dead run, and Eurypylus killed Menelaus outright. But Menelaus, lord of the war cry, had caught Adrastus alive, rearing, bolting in terror down the plain. His horses snared themselves in tamarisk branches, splintered his curved chariot just at the pole's tip, and breaking free they made a dash for the city walls, where battle teams by the drove stampeded back in panic. But their master hurled from the chariot, tumbling over the wheel, and pitching face down in the dust, and above him now rose Menelaus, his spear's long shadow looming. Adrastus hugged his knees and begged him, pleading, "Take me alive, Atreides, take a ransom worth my life. Treasures are piled up in my rich father's house, bronze and gold and plenty of well-wrought iron. Father would give you anything, gladly price his ransom, if only he learns I'm still alive in Argive ships." His pleas were moving the heart in Menelaus, just to the point of handing him to an aide to take him back to the fast Achaean ships, when up rushed Agamemnon, blocking his way and shouting out so soft, "Dear brother, why such concern for enemies? I suppose you got such tender love and care at home from Trojans. I would to God not one of them could escape his sudden plunging death beneath our hands. No baby boy still in his mother's belly, not even he escape Ilium blotted out. No tears for their lives, no markers for their graves." And the iron warrior brought his brother round, rough justice fitting too. Menelaus shoved Adrastus back with a fist, powerful Agamemnon stabbed him in the flank, and back on his side the fighter went face up. The son of Atreus dug a heel in his heaving chest, and wrenched the ash spear out. And here came Nestor with orders ringing down the field. My comrades fighting, Danaans, aids of Ares, no plunder now. Don't lag behind, don't fling yourself at spoils, just to haul the biggest portion back to your ship. Now's the time for killing. Later at leisure, strip the corpses up and down the plain. So he ordered, spurring each man's nerve, and the next moment crowds of Trojans once again would have clambered back inside their city walls, terror-struck by the Argives primed for battle. But Helenus, son of Priam, best of the seer, who scanned the flight of birds, came striding up to Aeneas and Hector, calling out, "My captains, you bear the brunt of Troy's and Lycia's fighting. You are our bravest men, whatever the enterprise, pitched battle itself for planning our campaigns. So stand your ground right here. Go through the ranks and rally all the troops. Hold back our retreating mobs outside the gates before they throw themselves in their women's arms in fear. A great joy to our enemies, closing for the kill. And once you've roused our lines to the last man, we'll hold out here and fight the Argives down. Hard hit as we are, necessity drives us on. But you, Hector, you go back to the city, tell our mother to gather all the older noble women together in gray-eyed Athena's shrine on the city's crest. Unlock the doors of the goddess' sacred chamber and take a robe, the largest, loveliest robe that she can find throughout the royal halls, a gift that far and away she prizes most herself, and spread it out across the sleek haired goddess' knees. Then promised to sacrifice 12 heifers in her shrine, yearlings never broken, if only she'll pity Troy, the Trojan wives and all our helpless children. If only she hold Diomedes back from Holy City, that wild spearman, that invincible headlong terror. He is the strongest Argive now, I tell you, never once did we fear Achilles so. Captain of armies, born of a goddess too, or so they say, but here's a maniac run amok. No one can match his fury man to man. So he urged, and Hector obeyed his brother, start to finish. Down he leapt from his chariot, fully armed, hit the ground, and brandishing two sharp spears, went striding down his lines, raging flank to flank, driving his fighters into battle, rousing grisly war and round the Trojans' world. Bracing to meet the Argives face to face, and the Argives gave way, they quit the slaughter. They thought some god swept down from the starry skies to brack the Trojans, now they wheeled and rallied so. Hector shouted out to his men in a piercing voice, gallant-hearted Trojans and far-famed allies, now be men, my friends, call up your battle fury, till I can return to Troy and tell them all the old counselors, all their wives, to pray to the gods and vow to offer them many splendid victims. As Hector returned home, his helmet flashed, and the long dark hide of his bossed shield, the rim running the metal edge, drummed his neck and ankles. And now Glaucus, son of Hippolochus, and Tydeus, son Diomedes, met in the no man's land between both armies, burning for battle, closing, squaring off, and the lord of the war cried Diomedes opened up. Who are you, my fine friend? Another born to die. I've never noticed you on the lines where we win glory, not till now. But here you come charging out in front of all the rest with such bravado, daring to face the flying shadow of my spear. Pity the ones whose sons stand up to me in war, but if you are an immortal come from the blue, I'm not the man to fight the gods of heaven, not even Dryas, indestructible son like Kyrgus, not even he lived long, that fellow who tried to fight the deathless gods. He rushed at the Maenads at once, nurses of wild Dionysus, scattered them breakneck down the holy mountain Nysa. A rout of them strewed their sacred staves on the ground, raked with the cattle prod by Lycurgus, murderous fool, and Dionysus was terrified. He drove beneath the surf where the sea nymph Thetis pressed him to her breast. Dionysus, numb with fear, shivers racked his body, thanks to the raucous onslaught of that man. But the gods who live at ease lashed out against him worse. The son of Cronus stuck Lycurgus blind, nor did the man live long, not with that hate of all the gods against him. No, my friend, I have no desire to fight the blithe immortals, but if you're a man who eats the crops of the earth, a mortal born for death, here come closer, the sooner you'll meet your day to die. The noble son of Hippolochus answered staunchly, high-hearted son of Tydeus, why ask about my birth? Like generations of leaves, the lives of mortal men. Now the wind scatters the old leaves across the earth. Now the living timber bursts with the new buds, and spring comes round again. And so with men, as one generation comes to life, another dies away. But about my birth, if you'd like to learn it well, first to last, though many people know it, here's my story. There is a city Corinth deep in a band of Argos, good stallion country, where Sisyphus used to live, the wiliest man alive. Sisyphus, Aeolus' son, who had a son called Glaucus, and in his day Glaucus sired brave Bellerophon, a man without fault. The gods gave him beauty and the fine gallant traits that go with men. But Proetus plotted against him far stronger. The king, in his anger, drove him out of Argos. The kingdom Zeus had brought beneath the scepter. Proetus' wife, you see, was mad for Bellerophon, the lovely Antia, lusted to couple with them all in secret. Futile, she could never seduce the man's strong will, his seasoned firm resolve. So straight to the king she went, blurting out her lies. I wish you'd die, Proetus, if you don't kill Bellerophon. Bellerophon's bent on dragging me down with him in lust, though I fight him all the way. All of it is false, but the king seethed when he heard a tale like that. He balking at killing the man, he did some respect at least. He quickly sent him off to Lycia, gave him tokens, murderous signs scratched in a folded tablet, and many of them too, enough to kill a man. He told him to show them to Antioch's father, that would mean his death. So off he went to Lycia, safe in escort of the gods, and once he reached the broad highlands cut by the rushing Xanthos, the king of Lycia gave him a royal welcome. 9 days he feasted him, 9 oxen slaughtered. When the 10th dawn shone with her rose-red fingers, he began to question him, asked to see his credentials, whatever he brought him from his in-law Proetus. But then once he received that fatal message sent from his own daughter's husband, first he ordered Bellerophon to kill the Chimera, a grim monster sprung on the gods, nothing human, all lion in front, all snake behind, all goat between, terrible, blasting, lethal fire at every breath. But he laid her low, obeying signs from the gods. Next he fought Salimi, tribesmen bent on glory, roughest battlemen he ever entered, so he claims. Then for a third test he brought the Amazons down, a match for men in war. But as he turned his back, his host spun out the tightest trap of all. Picking the best men from Lycia far and wide, he set an ambush that never came home again. Fearless Bellerophon killed them all. Then, yes, when the king could see the man's power at last, a true son of the gods, he pressed him hard to say. He offered his own daughter's hand in marriage. He gave him his royal honors as the king. And the Lycians carved out a grand estate, the choicest land in the realm, rich in vineyards and good tilled fields, for him to lord it over. And his good wife bore good Bellerophon 3 children, Isander, Hippolochus, and Laodama. Laodama lay in the arms of Zeus, who rules the world, and she bore the god a son, a great commander, Sarpedon, helmed in bronze. But the day soon came when even Bellerophon was hated by all the gods. Across the Iliad plain he wandered all alone, eating his heart out, fugitive on the run from the beaten tracks of men. His son Lysander, killed by the war god. Never sated a boy fighting the Ptolemy, always out of glory. Laodima Artemis, flashing her golden reins, cut her down in anger, but Hippolochus fathered me, I'm proud to say. He sent me off to Troy, and I hear his urgings ringing in my ears. Always be the best, my boy, the bravest, and hold your head up high above the others. Never disgrace the generation of your fathers. They were the bravest champions born in Corinth and Lycia far and wide. There you have my lineage, that is the blood I claim, my royal birth. When he heard that Diomedes' spirits lifted, raising his spear, the lord of the worker drove it home, planting it deep down in the earth that feeds us all. And with winning words he called out to Glaucus, the young captain splendid. You are my friend, my guest from the days of our grandfathers long ago. Noble Onius hosted your brave Bellifer once. He held her in there in his halls 20 whole days, and they gave each other handsome gifts of friendship. My kinsman offered a gleaming sword belt, rich red. Bellerophon gave a cup, two-handed solid gold. I left it at home when I set out for Troy. My father, tedious, I really don't remember. I was just a baby when father left me then. That time an Achaean army went to die at Thebes. So now I am your host and friend in the heart of Argos. You are mine in Lycia when I visit your country. Come, let us keep clear of each other's spears, even there in the thick of battle. Look, plenty of Trojans there for me to kill. Your famous allies too. Any soldier the god will bring in range, I can run to the ground. And plenty of Argives to kill them if you can. But let's trade armor, the men must know our claim. We are sworn friends from our fathers' days till now. Both agreed, both fighters sprang from their chariots, clasped each other's hands, and traded pacts of friendship. But the son of Cronus, Zeus, called Glaucus wits away. He traded his gold armor for bronze with Diomedes, and the worth of 100 oxen just for 9. And now when Hector reached the Scion gates and the great oak, the wives and daughters of Troy came rushing up around him, asking about their sons, brothers, friends, and husbands. But Hector told them only, pray to the gods. All the Trojan women, one after another, hard sorrows were hanging over many. And soon he came to Priam's palace, the magnificent structure built wide with porches and colonnades of polished stone. And deep within its walls were 50 sleeping chambers, masoned and smooth, lustrous ashlar, linked in a line where the sons of Priam slept beside their wedded wives. And facing these, opening out across the inner courtyard, lay the 12 sleeping chambers of Priam's daughters, masoned and roofed in lustrous ashlar, linked in a line, where the sons-in-law of Priam slept beside their wives. And there was the palace Hector's mother met her son, that warm, good-hearted woman lowing in Laodice. The loveliest daughter Hecuba ever bred. His mother clutched his hand and urged him, calling his name. My child, why have you left the bitter fighting? Why have you come home? Look how they wear you out, the sons of Achaea. Curse them, battling round our walls. And that's why your spirit brought you back to Troy, to climb the heights and stretch your arms to Zeus. But wait, I'll bring you some honeyed mellow wine. First pour out the cups to Father Zeus, then the other gods. Then refresh yourself if you'd like to quench your thirst. When a man's exhausted, wine will build his strength, battle-weary as you are, fighting for your people. But Hector shook his head, his helmet flashing. Don't offer me mellow wine, mother, not now. You'd sap my limbs, I'd lose my nerve for war, and I'd be ashamed to pour a glistening cup to Zeus with unwashed hands. I'm splattered with blood and filth. How could I pray to the Lord of storm and lightning? No, mother, you are the one to pray. Go to Athena's shrine, the queen of plunder. Go with offerings, gather the older noble women, and take a robe, the largest, loveliest robe that you find throughout the royal halls. A gift that far and away you prize most yourself, and spread it across the sleek-haired goddess' knees. Then promise to sacrifice 12 heifers in her shrine, yearlings never broken, if only she'll pity Troy, the Trojan wives, and all her helpless children. If only she'll hold Diomedes back from the holy city, that wild spearman, that invincible headlong terror. Now, mother, go to the queen of plunder shrine, and I'll hunt for Paris, summon him to fight. If the man will hear what I have to say, let the earth gape and swallow him on the spot. A great curse Olympian Zeus let live and grow in him for Troy and high-hearted Priam and all his sons. The man, if I could see him bound for the house of death, I could say my heart and forgot its wrenching grief. But his mother simply turned away to the palace. She gave her servants orders, and out they strode to gather the older and noble women through the city. Hecuba went down to a storeroom filled with sand. And there they were, brocaded, beautiful robes, the work of Sidonian women. Magnificent Paris brought those women back himself from Sidon, sailing the open seas on the same long voyage. He swept Helen off, her famous father's child. Lifting one from the lot, Hecuba brought it out for great Athena's gift, the largest, loveliest, richly worked, and like a star glistened deep beneath the others. Then she made her way with a file of noble women rushing for in her train. Once they reached Athena's shrine on the city crest, the beauty Theano opened the doors to let them in. Cisseus' daughter, the horseman, Antenor's wife, and Athena's priestess chosen by the Trojans. Then, with the shrill wail, they all stretched their arms to Athena as Theano, her face radiant, lifting the robe on high, spread it out across the sleek-eyed goddess' knees, and prayed to the daughter of mighty Zeus. Queen Athena, shield of our city, glory of goddesses, now shatter the spear of Diomedes, that wild man. Hurl him headlong down before the Scion gates. At once we'll sacrifice 12 heifers in your shrine, yearlings never broken. If only you'll pity Troy, the Trojan wives, and all their helpless children. But Athena refused to hear Theano's prayers, and while they prayed to the daughter of mighty Zeus, Hector approached the halls of Paris, sumptuous halls. He built himself with the finest masons of the day, master builders famed in the fertile land of Troy. They'd raised his sleeping chamber house and court adjoining Priam's and Hector's aloft the city heights. Now Hector, dear to Zeus, strode through the gates, clutching a thrusting lance 11 forearms long. The bronze tip of the weapon shone before him, ringed with the golden hoop to grip the shaft. And there in the bedroom Hector came on Paris, polishing, fondling his splendid battle gear, his shield and breastplate turning it over and over his long curved bow. And there was Helen of Argos sitting with all the women of the house, directing the rich embroidered work they had in hand. Seeing Paris, Hector raked his brother with insults, stinging taunts. What on earth are you doing? Oh, how wrong it is, this anger you keep smoldering in your heart. Look, your people dying round the city, the steep walls dying in arms, and all for you the battle cries, and the fighting flaring up around the citadel. You'd be the first to lash out at another anywhere you saw hanging back from this hateful war. Up with you before all Troy is torched with cinder here and now. And Paris, magnificent as a god, replied, "Ah, Hector, you criticize me fairly, yes. Nothing unfair beyond what I deserve, and so I will try to tell you something. Please bear with me, hear me out. It's not so much from anger or outrage at our people that I keep to my room so long. I only wanted to plunge myself in grief. But just now my wife was bringing me round her winning words, urging me back to battle. And it strikes me, even me, as the better way. Victory shifts, you know, now one man, now another. So come wait while I get this war gear on. Or you go on ahead and I will follow. I think I can overtake you. Hector, helmet flashing, answered nothing, and Helen spoke to him now, her soft voice welling up. "My dear brother, dear to me, bitch that I am, vicious, scheming, hard to freeze the heart. Oh, how I wish that the first day my mother brought me into the light. Some black whirlwind had rushed me out to the mountains or into the surf where the roaring breakers crash and drag. And the waves had swept me off before all this had happened. But since the gods ordained it all these desperate years, I wish I had been the wife of a better man. Someone alive to the outrage, the withering scorn of men. This one has no steadiness in his spirit, not now, he never will. And he's going to reap the fruits of it, I swear. But come in, rest on the seat with me, dear brother. You are the one hit hardest by the fighting, Hector. You more than all, and all for me. Whore that I am, and this blind mad Paris, oh, the two of us. Zeus planted a killing doom within us both. So even for generations still unborn, we will live in song. Turning to go, his helmet flashing, tall Hector answered, "Don't ask me to sit beside you here, Helen. Love me as you do, you can persuade me now. No time for rest, my heart races to help our Trojans. They long for me sorely whenever I am gone, but to rouse this fellow won't you? And let him hurry himself along as well, so he can overtake me before I leave the city. For I must go home to see my people first, to visit my own dear wife and my baby son. Who knows if I will ever come back to them again, or the deathless gods will strike me down at last at the hands of Argive fighters." A flash of his helmet, and off he strode, and quickly reached a sturdy, well-built house. But white-armed Andromache, Hector could not find her in the halls. She and her boy had a servant finely gowned, were standing watch on the tower, sobbing, grieving. When Hector saw no sign of his loyal wife inside, he went to the doorway, stopped and asked the servants, "Come, please tell me the truth now, women. Where's Andromache gone? To my sister's house, to my brother's wives, with the long flowing robes, or Athena's shrine, where the noble Trojan women gather to win the great grim goddess over?" A busy, willing servant answered quickly, "Hector, seeing you want to know the truth, she hasn't gone to your sister's brother's wives, or Athena's shrine, where the noble Trojan women gather to win the great grim goddess over. Up to a huge gate tower of Troy she's gone, because she heard our men are so hard pressed. The Achaean fighters coming on in so much force. She sped to the wall in panic like a madwoman. The nurse went with her, carrying your child. At that Hector spun and rushed from his house back by the same way down the wide, well-paved streets throughout the city until he reached the sand gates, the last point he would pass to gain the field of battle. There his warm, generous wife came running up to meet him, Andromache, the daughter of gallant-hearted Aetion, who had lived below Mount Placus, rich with timber in Thebe, below the peaks, and ruled Sicilia's people. His daughter had married Hector, helmed in bronze. She joined him now, and following in her steps, a servant holding the boy against her breast in the flush of life, only a baby. Hector's son, the darling of his eyes, and radiant as a star. Hector would always call the boy Scamandrius. Townsmen called him Astyanax, lord of the city, since Hector was the lone defense of Troy. The great man of war breaking into a broad smile, his gaze fixed on his son in silence. Andromache, breasting close around him and weeping freely now, clung to his hand, urged him, called him, reckless one by Hector, your own fiery courage will destroy you. Have you no pity for him, our helpless son, or me, and the destiny that weighs me down, your widow now so soon? Yes, soon they will kill you, all the Achaean forces, massed for assault, and then, bereft of you, better for me to sink beneath the earth. What other warmth, what comfort's left for me, once you have met your doom? Nothing but torment. I have lost my father, mother's gone as well. Father, the brilliant Achilles, laid him low when he stormed Sicilia's city filled with people. Thebe with their towering gates he killed Etion, not that he stripped his gear, he'd some respect at least, for he burned his corpse and all his blazing bronze, then heaped a mound high above the ashes, and nymphs of the mountain planted elms around it, daughters of Zeus who shielded storm and thunder. And the 7 brothers I had within her halls, all in the same day went down to the house of death. The great godlike runner Achilles butchered them all, tending their shambling oxen, shining flocks. And mother who ruled under the timberline of woody Placos, once he no sooner held her here with his other plunder than he took a priceless ransom, set her free, and home she went to her father's royal halls, where Artemis, showering at her, shot her down. You, Hector, you're my father, now my noble mother, a brother too, and you're my husband, young and warm and strong. Pity me, be please, take your stand on the rampart here before your orphan, your son, and make your wife a widow. Draw your armies up where the wild fig tree stands, there where the city lies most open to assault. The walls lower easily overrun. 3 times they have tried that point, hoping to storm great Troy. Their best fighters led by great and little Ajax, famous Idomeneus, Atreus, sons valiant Diomedes, that perhaps the skilled prophet revealed the spot, or their own fury whips them on to attack. And tall Hector nodded, his helmet flashing. All this weighs on my mind, too, dear woman, but I would die of shame to face the men of Troy and the Trojan women trailing their long robes, if I would shrink from battle now a coward. Nor does the spirit urge me on that way. I've learned it all too well to stand up bravely, always to fight in the front ranks of Trojan soldiers, winning my father great glory, glory for myself. For in my heart and soul I also know this well, the day will come when sacred Troy must die, Priam must die, and all his people with him, Priam who hurls the strong ash spear. Even so, it is less the pain of the Trojans still to come that weighs me down, not even Hecuba herself, or King Priam, or the thought that my own brothers in all their numbers, all their gallant courage, may tumble in the dust, crushed by enemies. That is nothing, nothing beside your agony, when some brazen Argive hales you off in tears, wrenching away your day of light and freedom. Then far off in the land of Argos you must live, laboring at a loom, at another woman's beck and call, fetching water at some spring, Messias or Hepera, resisting it all the way. The rough yoke of necessity at your neck, and a man may say, who sees you streaming tears, there is the wife of Hector, the bravest fighter they could field, the stallion breaking Trojans, long ago when the men fought for Troy. So he will say, and the grief will swell your heart once more, widowed, robbed of the one man strong enough to fight off your day of slavery. No, no, let the earth compiling over my dead body be, for I hear your cries, I hear you dragged away. In the same breath, shining Hector reached down for his son, but the boy recoiled, cringing against his nurse's full breast, streaming out at the side of his own father. Terrified by the flashing bronze, the horsehair crest, the great ridge of the helmet, nodding, bristling terror, so it struck his eyes, and his loving father laughed, his mother laughed as well, and glorious Hector quickly lifting the helmet from his head, set it down on the ground, firing in the sunlight, and raising his son, he kissed him, tossed him in his arms, lifting a prayer to Zeus and the other deathless gods. Zeus, all you mortals, grant this boy my son may be like me, first in glory among the Trojans, strong and brave like me, and rule all Troy in power, and one day let them say he is a better man than his father when he comes home from battle, bearing the bloody gear of the mortal enemy he has killed in war, a joy to his mother's heart. So Hector prayed and placed his son in the arms of his loving wife Andromache. He pressed the child to her scented breast, smiling through her tears. Her husband noticed and filled with pity now. Hector stroked her gently, trying to reassure her, repeating her name, Andromache. Dear one, why so desperate? Why so much grief for me? No man will hurl me down to death against my fate, and fate no one alive has ever escaped it, neither brave man nor coward, I tell you, it's born with us the day that we are born. So please go home and tend to your own task, the distance and the loom, and keep the women working hard as well as for the fighting men. Will see to that all who were born in Troy, but I'm most of all. Hector of flesh and arms took up his horsehair, crest and helmet once again, and his loving wife went home, turning, glancing back again and again, and weeping live love warm tears. She quickly reached the sturdy house of Hector, man killing Hector, and found her women gathered there inside, and stirred them all to a high pitch of mourning. So in his house they raised the dirges for the dead, for Hector still alive. His people were so convinced that never again would he come home from battle, never escape the Argives' rage and bloody hands. Nor did Paris linger long in his vaulted halls. Soon as he buckled on his elegant gleaming bronze, he rushed through Troy, sure in his racing stride, as the stallion full fled at the manger stall too long. Breaking free of his tether, gallops down the plain, out for his favorite plunge in a river's cool currents, thundering in his pride, his head flung back, his mane streaming over his shoulders, sure and sleek in his glory. Knees racing him onto the fields and stallion haunts he loves. So down from Pergamus heights came Paris, son of Priam, glittering in his armor like the sun astride the skies, exultant, laughing aloud, his feet sped fast him on. Quickly overtook his brother noble Hector, still lingering, slow to turn from the spot where he had just confided in his wife. Magnificent Paris spoke first. Dear brother, look at me, holding you back in all your speed, dragging my feet, coming to you so late, and you told me to be quick. A flash of his helmet as Hector shot back, impossible man. How could anyone fair and just underrate your work in battle? You're a good soldier, but you hang back of your own accord, refuse to fight, and that's why the heart inside me aches when I hear our Trojans heap contempt on you, the man who bears such struggles all for you. Come now for attack, we'll set this all to rights someday. If Zeus will ever let us raise the wine ball of freedom high in our halls, high to the gods of cloud and sky who live forever. Once we drive these Argives geared for battle out of Troy.